So this weekend I had a very unusual painting experience. There's a little bitty town near me that had a little bitty festival, and on a little bitty side street there's a historic house where I was invited to paint live. And if you've been following my channel, you know that even though I've been painting in front of you for several years now, for some reason painting live in front of people has been quite the challenge. It's really taken all that's within me to be able to put myself in that kind of situation. But it was a beautiful day. The painting turned out rather well. And I'd love to share with you, I ended up using a brush I've never used before that I was delighted with. And I ended up using a different color palette than I typically use in my landscapes. Good morning, Stanley. And so I'd love to kind of walk you through this painting and show you some of the different things that I did and why it helped. It helped me emotionally. Good morning, honey. We got some superstars here this morning. So yeah, let's jump in and I'll show you a little bit about this painting, things that I really liked about it, and we'll probably do again in the future. Stay tuned. Since I'd never seen this property where I was going to be painting, I thought it was a really good idea that I needed to go out and scope it out ahead of time. This is this historic house that was moved to this little bitty lot, and you can see the tent is set up just facing the front of the house. I was hoping for some beautiful gardens or something else to paint other than just the house straight on. But there was, over to the side, some pretty railing that went down some steps and a little shaded area. So I looked at it from that perspective, and as I turned around and looked up the steps back at the house, I realized that was going to be my shot. I thought that was really more interesting, and that became the photo reference. So even though technically I was painting plein air, I was painting from a photo as well. You know, I must say having the photo reference made me feel a lot more at ease painting live in front of people, because it's just easier for me, for my brain, to see it in a photo. Even though I'm standing right in front of the object, somehow the photo reduces it down to a more manageable size to me, and it frames the picture. The other thing that I did, and I'm trying to not use the projector to get my drawings in anymore. I'm trying to draw things by hand, but there were so many angles to this with the railing and the steps. The house had a bay window to it, and the pressure of doing this in front of people, I just ended up using a projector and got my drawing in ahead of time, and that made me feel a lot more secure. I went into this situation feeling a lot better. I forgot to start filming when I first started in that upper right-hand corner with the sky and the trees. One thing I wanted to share with you is the brush that I had never really noticed this brush. I was getting my brushes together, and it's a longer brush than your typical flat. And because it's so long, it has a lot of bend when you put pressure on it, and it leaves the most beautiful mark. And that's what I use putting in these trees. Let me show you. I was using the brush on its side just to get that straight line next to the house, but for the rest of the trees I was using it pretty much full face. I had pre-mixed my greens, my values, and so I had a light, a medium, and dark, and that really helped. And as you can see, I just have paint on the end of that brush, and just putting in those strokes, they skipped a little bit so that I actually got a little bit of the pink underneath. It would have taken a second coat, and I love that look. It just had a lot of bend to it. It's hard to explain. After using that brush, a normal flat brush would feel very stiff, if that helps you understand how it felt in my hand. But I really love the effect with those trees, and definitely I've got my eye on this brush. I was real careful to get it cleaned and taken good care of, because I'm going to be using this one again. The last video that I posted was on using Ian Roberts' palette for a landscape painting, and I'm using some of the same kind of principles and colors with this painting, except The main green that he used in that one was chromium oxide green, and the main one I used in this was a Lucas olive green. But then I used the same dioxazine purple. That's what I'm adding for the shadows and painting over that. It is so beautiful. I have just been such a sap green girl for so many years and just had not varied my greens much. And I am really loving what these greens and what these purples are doing for my paintings. I feel like the landscape has just gone to a completely different level with this. So I want you to be sure and see those colors. I was so upset when I got home and started uploading this video and realized something wacky happened with my camera at this stage of the painting, and it just went out of focus. It just, I guess, the automatic focus slipped off and I ended up with this blur. And I'd done this video once for you and I decided it was too blurry to even put out there, but I'm leaving this one little section in just to say this, that instead of using the dark brown and the white for the house, which I didn't find very attractive, I used in my white, I used a little touch of orange, a little touch of yellow in it just to give a glow, and the pink showed through underneath. And then in the shadow areas, I just used the dark purples mixed with a little pink. And I'm just showing you this just for the point of, if you get your values correct, you can change pretty dramatically the colors of things to make a painting more colorful, more interesting. As long as the values are correct, it will read correctly. So again, I apologize for the blurriness, but I just wanted to make sure you got that one point. So here's the painting, not completely finished, but as finished as I got on that day that I was out there painting. And I love this dark dioxazine purple here on the left, and look at it with the lighter greens in front of it. I love the greenery of this. I love the brush that I used. I think it's just real effective. I love the background trees. And here we have this house with the pink showing through and that nice glow to it, and the purples. I just thought that turned out so soft and so lovely. I like it so much better than that harsh dark brown that was the trim. I like that the railing is much softer and lighter. It looks like it's in the distance. I did not get time to get the steps put in. That's the one thing that's lacking. I like the brick, and you can see where I've used some yellow highlights on where the sun's hitting. I've got pinks and cad reds. I've got this burnt sienna mixed in for the darks. And it was a really good painting day. I hope you've picked up some tips and tricks that you can use in your next painting. I'm trying to put out a long form video every week. So if you'll subscribe, you'll be sure not to miss those. I'm also starting to do a few shorts in between those videos. I encourage you to go to my website where I've got real-time courses there on different landscape, florals, all different kinds of subjects. Love for you to check that out. And as always, I appreciate your time. I don't take it lightly. God bless.